If you haven't heard, there's a game that caught a lot of the gaming world off guard earlier this year. Hi-Fi Rush was shadow dropped at the end of the last Microsoft stream, popping out of the studio that made the Evil Within games and executive produced by Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil. And Hi-Fi Rush is not even close to a survival horror game. Instead, it's a rhythm-based action game, and the whole world is synced up to whatever unique song is playing in the background. So all the NPCs, all the lights, the platforms, everything is synced to the beat. Along with the world, your character Chai is synced up as well. Every step taken, every jump jumped, every dodge dodged, and every attack attacked is all on beat. If you manage to time your movement and attacks perfectly, you get rewarded with bonus combo points and damage, but you are never punished for hitting buttons off rhythm. The core idea behind Hi-Fi Rush is that the player is always playing along side by side with the music. The game even needle drops a couple licensed songs that really sell a scene or boss fight. Besides those, the rest of the soundtrack is made up of incredibly energetic and memorable original compositions. The music is mixed so well, even with the copyrighted stuff, that it never cuts off at weird moments. In some other games, the music just cuts in and out, but the way Hi-Fi Rush uses transitional tracks to keep the music always feeling natural is just amazing. The main idea of the game is you're playing through a music video, and it really feels like that most of the time. The actual gameplay is similar to Bayonetta, a light and heavy attack, viable combos, and super moves. You can also tag in allies that do different sorts of damage in combat, range attacks, guard breaks, and stuns. The gameplay is fun enough. I've been spoiled lately by playing games with some of the best combat ever, but Hi-Fi Rush is certainly a good action game. It's really fun, especially when you can do different attacks to different beats that allow for different flashier combos and special abilities. The combat is flashy and effective, especially since it's almost always in sync with the music. While I think the music and action are the biggest draws of Hi-Fi Rush, I ended up really liking the game mainly because of the story, or the characters. The story is not complicated. It's about a guy named Chai who goes to a company campus to get a robot arm. He's marked as a defect and has to fight his way home. Along the way, he meets a bunch of likable characters, and they all find out that the company is evil and wants to mind control the world or whatever. Chai and his friends then run through the company bosses and their lairs in order to save the day. The characters are cheesy, but they're fun. It's like playing one of the cartoon shows I grew up watching, like Teen Titans or Static Shock. Yeah, it's goofy and dumb, but when it wants to have an emotional moment or be really cool, it succeeds in hitting those beats. The designs of the game are just filled with personality. I really like the idea of having a robot that has to draw on all of his facial expressions. The villains also have pretty fun designs, like a wrestler, a JoJo Bizarre Adventure character, and whatever. The enemies are all just robots, but there's so much visual clarity in their designs. You know what every robot is capable of doing and what type of weapon damage and weaknesses they have. To me, the aesthetic of the game is very much its own, and I think that works a lot. You even get a little bit of comic book waits and snaps that appear, and cutscenes, both in-game and pre-rendered, blend into each other really well. I just think the game looks nice, especially while you're playing it. A big factor in why I like Hi-Fi Rush, on top of everything else, is that it's a complete package. The game takes roughly 9 to 10 hours to complete, and that's it. Afterwards, you can grind out challenges, go do a Bloody Palace grind, or just replay levels to hunt for secret missions and costumes. And the game has a lot of cosmetics you can get post-completion. It's fun, and it's nice to play a game that's just 100% solid. It doesn't feel short, and it doesn't feel unfinished, and there's no battle pass or upcoming DLC. It's just a complete experience, which is becoming a rarity nowadays, unfortunately. And while I like the game a lot, it isn't without its problems. I think the first third and the last third of the game are really energetic, a bunch of licensed music and big boss fights, but the middle section feels too sluggish. Even if the levels take the same time to complete as all the others, it just feels like it's dragging. It doesn't help that there is obviously cut content in those sections. I mean, the game shows off a giant robot you won't ever get to fight, and a few cutscenes wink at the camera talking about how cool of the thing they just did off screen was. And you have like the Zonzo boss, or rather, the lack of a Zonzo boss, and that's pretty noticeable. You can't keep the excitement up all the time, but this game certainly would have been a lot better if every level, or at least every section, had a sick boss fight to close on. And the last issue I have is that the game offers a lot of help to get you to play on rhythm, but doesn't punish you if you don't. If you don't hit on beat, you just don't deal bonus damage, except with these parry minigames. If you don't get the timing right, you either take damage or have to redo the parry attempt. Now, on lower difficulties, you can just eat the hits and you don't need to be perfect with the parrying, but I think there should have been a way to avoid those on any difficulty. Even if I don't have a problem with them, that doesn't mean somebody who's really good at combat but really bad at rhythm games has to be halted by the only mechanic that punishes you for playing off rhythm. And that about does it. I think Hi-Fi Rush is a solid video game with a lot of fun combat, characters, and music. So much love is put into this game and you can really feel it. Hi-Fi Rush really wants you to just have fun running and jumping around its levels. It wants you playing around and trying out all of its different moves. It wants you to interact and talk with all of its characters lurking around every corner. It never punishes you for just using the same combos over and over again. If you want to just spam light combo till the end of the game, you can do that and there's no downside. Hi-Fi Rush just wants you to have a good time. It's a great combination of solid elements that creates a great and complete experience. I think it's a solid 1, 3, 4, 5 out of a Devil May Cry series. It's only $30 and it's free on Xbox Games Pass if you got that. But come on and try it, it's fun. It's like God of War meets Guitar Hero. Though, it's really more like Bayonetta meets Osu.